to devouring. Hey guys, I want to make a quick video going over a cheap box strat that you can do in tier 17. You can also do this in tier 16, but it will be less profitable because you don't get any tier 17 boss fragments. Yeah, this video is focusing on tier 17, not because the cheap boxes are very strong, because boss fragments are worth so much. This strategy is actually quite good. I was able to achieve over 25 divines an hour with my fast card setup. Obviously, if you're slower, you will make less currency. But let's go into data first and then show what the strategy is. So yeah, I ran 2 10 map tests just to quickly test it out. And there's not much variance here. Essentially, the only variance is like, do you drop a divine that hour or not? The fragments are going to be really, really consistent. And as you can see, the fragments are majority of your profit. So yeah, 10 maps and 46 minutes here, then 10 maps and 41 minutes here. I think in this 10 maps, I had like a wild wooden fortress, so it took slightly longer. And I guess the drops were slightly worse. By the way, in 20 maps total, if we combine the numbers, it took roughly an hour and 20 minutes for 40 divines before cost. The cost is really cheap. So I was doing a sanctuary map. The reason to do sanctuary map is that the Devour fragment is worth quite a lot right now. Yeah, 40 divines in roughly an hour and 20 minutes. The cost right now is honestly not that much. So sanctuary map, at least at the time I'm recording this video, when I did it, was 30 chaos each. Then we can just go right here. Discernment is currently 7 chaos each. Potency less than a chaos, and then ambush scarab 1.2 chaos. So all in total it was 40 chaos, then 4C for delirium orb, 2C in chisels, and then 5C or less in chaos rolling, because I kind of roll for like any map and just run it. So yeah, in total, at least as of the recording of this video, it was 50 chaos to 45 chaos per map. Extremely cheap and not that expensive whatsoever, especially since the fragment itself not only pays for the map, but makes you profit. So it's, if you're a person who feel like you can't make money on strategies, but if you can do tier 17s, it's just guaranteed profit. The Devour fragment is, double the value of one of these map runs. It's very, very, very cheap. If you don't like running, containment, because it's like, oh, it's too expensive, you feel like it's too much of a gamble, then run this strategy because it's very, very cheap. It's literally just impossible to lose money. So we just do some quick math real quick. If we got 40 divines in 120 minutes or 125 minutes, and the map cost is roughly 50 chaos right now, and divine, at least as the recording of this video, divine does go up quite a bit and down quite a bit. It's 0.4 divines per map, so we spent 8 divines on 20 maps, meaning we got a net profit of 32 divines in roughly an hour and 20 minutes or so, giving you anywhere from like 20 to 22 divines an hour, which is honestly quite good. That's still quite lucrative for a relatively cheap strategy. Of course, you have to be a tier 17 viable character, but yeah, it's a pretty possible strategy. You are getting at least, 1 divine profit per map on average. Yeah, so what is this strategy? So this strategy is essentially the regular box strategy, but you're just not using containment and you're just using cheap ambush scarabs. Now, of course, you won't have that many boxes in your map. You have, I believe 14 boxes in total, because ambush gives you 4. You get 1 in the tree, and then this is 9. So yeah, you're getting 14 boxes in total, which is roughly like 25 or 20th less than a containment strategy. And you also don't have the hidden compartment scares, which is the reopen. So you also do get slightly less value per box as well. The reason why I don't use this in this strategy and I use potency instead is because the boss fragments, as you can see from the wealthy exile, is so much of your profit that staying longer to an extra box, in my opinion, is less worth it. So yeah, most of the profit is from the box fragments itself. So you could just boss rush as well. That is another strategy, but I find that kind of boring. So I added boxes to this strategy to make it, like a hybrid boss strategy / box strategy. You still drop raw divines, so you still that dopamine drops, you get battle boxes, raw currency, right? But the boss fragments are definitely majority of your currency. Once again, this was done on sanctuary map. Yeah, as for that list tree, it's pretty much exactly the same as the regular containment strat. The only thing that you can really change here, you can drop shrines. You don't need shrines in a regular box strategy because the influence will spawn it regardless. But yeah, just taking scarab nodes with leftover points, and then taking all quant and map effect. Of course, you also take on the box nodes, but yeah, there's not much else to really talk about here. Pretty standard box tree. You've probably seen this many times before. But yeah, use your 3 ambush scarabs, your potency scarab, discernment, you would run your ambush mount device. Then as for the map, once again, sanctuary or abomination, both are pretty much equivalent. They're both really good. I prefer sanctuary over abomination, but if you like abomination, feel free to run that instead. Fortress can also work and is the easiest map to run this with. So if your character is not as strong, you can do Fortress. But in my opinion, it is less profit because the boss fragments from Fortress are quite a bit weaker. Although you do get the barrels in Fortress, which do make up for some of the cost. I do think Sanctuary or Abomination are the best for the strategy. The last option is Ziggurat. I just don't like doing Ziggurat boss, but it is the highest profit per boss kill, but it also takes quite a bit. But if you want to do Ziggurat, yeah, it is good for the strategy as well. As for rolling the map, I'm just taking pretty much whatever I get, any combination of more scarabs or more currency. Once again, because majority of the profit is from the boss fragments itself, the map rolls honestly don't matter too much, so you don't really need to use that many chaos for map rolling. So this map's 100 scarabs, 70% more currency, I would run this. This one's just 190% more currency and 50 scarabs, I would run this. I would run a map with 70% more currency / 50% more scarabs hybrid. That's the bare minimum I would run. Or 140% more currency or like 100% more scarabs. I pretty much just roll for whatever, and the first, good set of combinations of mods I get, I just take. And honestly, at least for my build, because I can do all modifiers, it takes 5C or less per map to actually roll. It's really quite fast to roll these maps. Then just use one Delirium Orb, doesn't really matter. You can use any Delirium Orb you want. You can use currency, forbidden, whatever. But yeah, one Delirium Orb's all you really need. You can use 2 if you want to invest a little bit more, but it's not that important. And then yeah, use regular chisel, and that's mostly about it for the strategy. You're just clicking on a box in the map, going to the boss, and that's really it. You note, because you kind of want to do the boss last to have the most amount of quant altars, because the quant map affects how many boss fragments you get. So in a map like Sanctuary, it's actually kind of ideal with a boss at the end of the map, because you take the most amount of quant altars, then do the boss, and try to get the most amount of fragments. But yeah, that's mostly about for the strategy. It's quite strong, quite pretty good. Even if you're like way slower than me, you could probably still make a solid like 15 divines an hour. But at least for me, my current setup, my current build, it's anywhere from like 22 to 25 divines an hour. And like I said, the cost is really cheap. All these scarabs are very cheap. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below.